Hello there. Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. So let's see who's first in the room. I'm sure we'll get someone in here very, very shortly because we're about to get underway. I hope you guys had a good holiday weekend. Okay, good. Someone's in the room. All right. Two people in the room. We're building. We're starting here. So the vibe I'm getting from out there in the world is that the world is starting to open up a little haltingly, a little unevenly, but we're making progress. So that's good to see. In fact, the world seems to be opening up to such a degree that I wonder if Glendale College might be a little out of step with the rest of the world doing just online classes in the fall. Of course, if there's a relapse of the virus, then we'll look brilliant. Well, we'll have to see. Up, four people in the room. Okay, we're getting here. Almost 9:10. Out my window, I see the fog that we had very early has just about cleared. I see a little thin filminess, but nothing big. No June gloom to speak of. All right, I'm calling it 9:10. Let's start. Fall registration continues. If you are able to register for fall classes and you want fall classes, sign up for fall classes sooner rather than later. We are almost certainly going to have more students than spots available for those students. Next, we apparently had a very nice group yesterday on supplemental instruction on Discord. Went through media law, which is a pivotal chapter in the course. We just have one more SI remaining. And next Tuesday, we are going to have our big final exam review. And what this will be is questions from across the entire second half of the course. So from television through the end. Our last chapter is international. It probably goes through a little more material than most of the SI sessions, and so it's a good one to attend. If you have not yet been to SI, this would be a good one to come in on. So that's going to be next Tuesday, 12:30 on Discord with Stephanie. If you remember, last week I was touting the denied transfer workshop. That is for students who maybe they were really, trying for a moonshot. They were applying to Stanford or Berkeley or UCLA or someplace like that, and they got denied. Well, what yesterday's workshop was about was, where do you go from here? And I was wondering if any of you who are here now went to that workshop, because I'd be interested in knowing what it was like. And by the way, I think that being turned down by a university is not the worst thing in the world. It means that you're trying to stretch. You're trying to pass up the sure thing and really try to push your limits. So, if you were denied by a university, don't feel bad about it. All right, up next, quiz number 3 was last week, and most students took it. A few students emailed me and said, "Oh, I forgot about it, or I had some upheaval in my life over the weekend. Could you please reopen it?" And I have. So if you missed quiz 3 and you want to take it, get an email to me and I will reopen it for you. As you no doubt realize by this point in the semester, I just want to get you guys through. I mean, it's been a weird semester, and I just want to get you guys through. Hello, Guy. How you doing? All right. Next thing, final exams. Oh, you're welcome, Guy. Yeah, you're welcome. Final exams. Glendale College has a final exam period, and it always runs Wednesday to Wednesday. This year, it is June 3rd to June 10th. And if this was a normal semester, I would be telling you the date and time that our class is to take its final. But as you have noticed, I'm giving exams asynchronously. In other words, you can take it during the time that the class meets or not. It's up to you. And I'm going to follow that policy with the final exam. And so what that means is your final exam will open up on June 3rd, a week from today, the first day of the final exam period, and it will close on June 10th, the last day of the final exam period. So you'll have an entire week to take it. It'll cover chapters 9 through 15, television through the end of the course. It will be mostly multiple choice. I'm going to have you write something. I even though this is an unusually, academically unchallenging class, given the weird circumstances of it, I still want you to write something. So that's the final exam. It's coming up next week. We're really, really getting toward the end. All right. So let's get to today's question of the day. The question of the day is about, if there was an app that would be like, app of the year in education, it would be Zoom, right? All of a sudden, Zoom is being used, probably 50 times more, 20 times more than it had, say, before March. All right, so today's question of the day is looking at Zoom beyond education. So the question of the day is, what kind of entertainment have you seen on Zoom? And have you used Zoom for something other than education? So what kind of entertainment have you seen on Zoom? And have you used Zoom for something other than education? So as you start to think about your answer, I'll tell you about, in my case, as you know, I've chosen to kind of steer clear of Zoom this semester. I was worried about the FBI warning about Zoom's lack of security and teachers who were getting Zoom bombed by white supremacists and other icky people. Now that said, I have used Zoom for entertainment. I mean, I haven't created it; I've been in the audience. One of the great things in the summer that me and my summer students won't get to do this year is a summer of an evening of outdoor Shakespeare in Griffith Park. There's a thing called the Independent Shakespeare Company, and they have been doing live performances in the park's old zoo area now for a number of years, and I take them on a field trip. And Independent Shakespeare Company is not going to be able to do its live shows this summer in the park. So instead, what they did last weekend was they did a virtual cabaret on Zoom, and it was just wildly uneven. You had folks at home, on their own, creating these acts. They were singing, they were doing funny things, they were doing dramatic readings, and said, well, that's, kind of interesting. Kind of. Well, let's see. What have you seen? Have you been part of any entertainment on Zoom? How have you used Zoom for something other than education? Guy is first off the line, and he says, "I haven't seen any, but I did have a Zoom party with some friends. Yeah, I think that qualifies, right? A Zoom party with friends, and drank on Zoom with some family, and it was fun. Yeah, what I've been thinking of is using Zoom to have a, I don't know, like a cocktail hour with all of my Facebook friends. Just put it out there, and see who shows up, and I probably get Zoom bombed or something. Uh, so far, doing socializing with friends that you couldn't really do face to face stuff. We've been doing it through FaceTime instead of through Zoom. With Zoom, I guess you could do a lot more people, right? Okay, Sophia is saying, I haven't used Zoom for anything other than meeting with classes, but I've gotten emails from the GCC Student Council about events ranging from dance classes, exercise classes, and Earth Day talks. Yeah, so when you think about all those other things that make a college education, like activities and lectures, yeah, Zoom is a way to do it. I don't know if it's the only way to do it, but it's a way to do it. Okay, Guy weighs in with, yeah, that's exactly what we did. Okay. Anyone else have a non-educational use of Zoom? Anyone else? I don't know. Your bowling team. I don't know. Your virtual reunion. Oh, here was quite a use of virtual tools. That all of the high school graduates in America theoretically had the same commencement speaker this year. Did you hear about that one? Barack Obama. Yes, former President Obama, knowing that high school graduations were going to be canceled all over the nation, volunteered to give a commencement address. And any high school senior, well, actually anybody, but the invitation was, any high school senior who wanted to hear a commencement address, they could go online and hear what former President Obama had to say. So, I don't know. That seems pretty cool. I sure would have liked to have had him as my commencement speaker. All right, let's move on to what we are doing today. You are to go to the media note. Today's media note is an NPR story, which I think is really interesting. I think that if you're trying to make sense of these times, and if you're going to make sense of whatever happens in our presidential election in November, I think this story is a good place to begin to think about not the political issues, but the tactics, the approach that former Vice President Biden and Mr. Trump are using. Because the NPR story, if you really listen to it, you realize that the two campaigns are taking very different approaches in their online campaigning. And, I don't know which one's going to work better. But yeah, so listen to that story. Then you have the little, media note quiz. So easy 3 points as always. And then we'll have you get into the lecture. Today we're going to start chapter 14, that is media ethics, what I sometimes call the jumbo shrimp chapter. Jumbo shrimp is an example of an oxymoron. An oxymoron is not a person lacking in intelligence who goes to a fine liberal arts school in Eagle Rock. That's not what an oxymoron is. An oxymoron is a contradiction in terms. See, isn't that terribly good? Terribly good, that's an oxymoron. Jumbo shrimp, that's an oxymoron. The The old comedian George Carlin claimed that military intelligence was an oxymoron. Well, some feel that media ethics is an oxymoron, and sometimes it kind of is. Well, chapter 14, I want you to go through the first 25 plus minutes. Oh, hi, Armin, how you doing? Chapter 14, I want you to go through corporate conflict of interest. So chapter 14, the first 25 minutes, 25 and a half minutes through corporate conflict of interest. All right, does everybody know what they're doing? Any last questions, comments, complaints? What do we got? All right, hearing none, I am going to end the live stream, and in just a few seconds, I am going to be over on Canvas Chat. See you over there.